You think eggs are the final answer to strength. You were taught that they are enough, that a couple on your plate will somehow protect your body from decline. That belief feels safe, familiar, comfortable, and that comfort is exactly what is costing you muscle right now, not later, not someday, right now. If you are over 60, your body is not forgiving mistakes anymore. It keeps score. Every missed gram of protein, every weak meal, every excuse you repeat to yourself while your strength quietly slips away, you feel it already. Maybe not dramatically. Maybe it's subtle. Standing up takes a second longer. Your grip isn't what it used to be. Stairs feel heavier than they should. You tell yourself it's age. You tell yourself everyone goes through this. That lie is one of the most dangerous things you believe. Muscle loss is not inevitable. Weakness is not guaranteed. What's guaranteed is this: if you keep eating like you did decades ago, your body will keep shrinking. Here's the brutal truth most people never hear. After 60, your body becomes resistant to protein. That means the same foods that once worked no longer send a strong enough signal to your muscles. Eggs alone don't cut it anymore. They whisper when your muscles need to be shouted at. And while you keep trusting old habits, your body is dismantling itself piece by piece. There's a food with more protein than eggs that most people ignore because it doesn't come wrapped in hype. Lentils. Simple, cheap, powerful, packed with protein, fiber, and minerals that support muscle repair instead of inflammation. This isn't trendy nutrition. This is survival nutrition. Lentils don't beg for attention. They just do the work your body is desperate for. The uncomfortable reality is this: muscle loss accelerates when protein intake stays low and inconsistent. Skipping it in the morning, barely touching it at lunch, hoping dinner will somehow fix everything. Your body doesn't work like that anymore. It needs steady input, clear signals, repetition. When it doesn't get that, it adapts by conserving energy, shedding muscle, and lowering your strength ceiling year after year. You may not like hearing this, but your muscles believe what you show them, not what you promise them. If your meals say maintenance, your body chooses decline. If your meals say strength, your body responds. Lentils send that message clearly. They tell your muscles they are still needed. They tell your body you are not done yet. Another hard truth most people avoid: eating too little protein after 60 is a form of self-neglect. Not intentional, not malicious, but real. You wouldn't skip brushing your teeth for months and call it normal aging, yet you skip the nutritional foundation of strength and accept weakness as fate. That makes no sense. Strength is built or lost daily, and food is the first command. This isn't about becoming younger. It's about refusing to become fragile. It's about choosing foods that fight for you when your body starts pushing back. Lentils do that quietly and consistently. They don't spike you and crash you. They don't burden your system. They fuel it. If this message feels uncomfortable, that's good. Discomfort is awareness arriving. You don't need more motivation. You need honesty. Eggs had their place. But now, your body needs more than tradition. It needs intention. It needs you to stop assuming and start choosing. Here's the truth you haven't been told, and it's not gentle. Muscle loss after 60 is not some unavoidable law of nature. It's not a sentence handed down by age. It's a consequence, a slow one, a quiet one. And most of the time, it's self-inflicted through neglect, repetition, and outdated beliefs that no longer serve your body. You were never taught how aggressively your muscles need support as you get older. You were taught to slow down, to be careful, to eat light. Those messages sound wise, but they come with a hidden cost. When you eat less protein, your body doesn't politely adapt. It panics. It starts breaking down muscle to survive. Not because it wants to sabotage you, but because it thinks strength is no longer required. That's the part no one tells you. Your body is always listening. It reads your habits like instructions. Eat small, weak meals, and it assumes you're preparing for decline. Move cautiously, and it assumes power is no longer needed. Over time, it responds exactly as instructed. Less muscle, less stability, less resilience, and then people call it aging. That excuse is convenient, but it's false. Real aging doesn't steal muscle overnight. Neglect does. Skip protein does. Meals built around comfort instead of function do. The body after 60 is less forgiving, yes, but it's not helpless. It simply demands clarity. It demands consistency, demands respect. Here's a harsh realization most people avoid. The average person over 60 is under-eating protein every single day, not slightly, severely. And they don't feel it immediately, so they assume everything is fine. But muscle loss doesn't announce itself. It erodes quietly. First strength goes, then balance, then confidence, then independence. Another uncomfortable truth: your appetite lying to you now. Eating less feels natural, but that doesn't mean it's safe. Hunger cues weaken with age, but your protein needs don't. When you follow appetite alone, you underfuel without realizing it. And your body compensates by dismantling what it considers extra. Muscle is always first. You might think you're being disciplined by eating less. In reality, you're signaling. Retreat. This is where most people make a critical mistake. They wait until weakness shows up clearly, until getting up feels hard, until fatigue becomes constant. By then, the loss has been happening for years. Muscle is harder to rebuild than to preserve. Prevention is not optional, it's urgent. You don't need extreme diets. You don't need obsession. You need a shift in understanding. Food is no longer just pleasure or routine, it is instruction. Every meal is a vote for strength or surrender, and protein is the loudest vote you can cast. When protein intake is too low, exercise barely helps. Walking without fuel won't save muscle. Staying active without protein is like trying to build a house without materials. Your effort collapses under its own limits. This is why blaming age is dangerous. It keeps you passive. It keeps you waiting. It convinces you nothing can be done. That belief alone accelerates decline faster than any birthday ever could. The reality is simple and unforgiving. Muscle stays when it's needed and fed. It disappears when it's ignored. You are not broken. You are underfueled. There is a food sitting in plain sight that outperforms what you've been relying on, and its power has nothing to do with trends or marketing. Lentils. No hype, no miracle claims, just raw nutritional force that your body understands immediately. Gram for gram, they deliver more protein than eggs, along with fiber and minerals that aging muscles depend on to survive and recover. What makes this uncomfortable is not the food itself, but what it exposes. You were never short on options. You were short on awareness. Lentils were always there, quietly dismissed as basic or not enough. Meanwhile, your muscles were starving for a stronger signal. Protein alone matters, but protein that comes with steady energy, insulin control, and reduced inflammation matters even more as you age. Eggs give protein, yes, but they arrive in a narrow package. Lentils arrive with backup. They stabilize blood sugar. They support digestion. They feed the gut bacteria that influence how well your body even absorbs nutrients. That matters now more than ever. If your digestion is compromised, your protein intake on paper means nothing in reality. Here's the hard truth most people avoid. It's not just what you eat, it's what your body can actually use. Aging slows digest, ion, enzyme output, and nutrient absorption. Lentils help offset that. They work with your system instead of fighting it. That's why they punch above their weight. Another uncomfortable realization is this: people underestimate foods that don't feel powerful. If it doesn't feel heavy, greasy, or indulgent, it gets ignored. Strength doesn't come from feeling full. It comes from being nourished. Lentils don't sedate your body. They fuel it. They don't leave you sluggish. They leave you stable. Consistency is where the real advantage shows up. Lentils can be eaten daily without burdening your system. That's critical. Muscle maintenance after 60 is not about occasional big meals. It's about repeat signals. Day after day, meal after meal. Lentils allow that without stress, guilt, or digestive backlash. There's another reality you may not like. Cholesterol fear pushed many people toward under-eating protein. The result wasn't protection. It was weakness. Lentils remove that mental barrier. You don't have to debate them. You don't have to justify them. They simply support strength without the baggage. This is not about replacing everything you eat. It's about upgrading the foundation. Lentils don't demand perfection. They demand presence. Add them, and your body receives a clear message. Strength is still required. Strength is still valued. Strength is still part of your future. When you consistently deliver that message, your body responds. Not instantly, not dramatically, but steadily. Muscles stop disappearing. Energy stabilizes. Recovery improves. The downward slide slows, then halts. Ignoring this doesn't make it go away. Dismissing simple solutions is how decline sneaks in unnoticed. Lentils are not impressive because they are exotic. They are impressive because they work. Here's a truth that stings because it removes your favorite excuse. You don't lose muscle because you're old. You lose it because you stop demanding anything from your body. The moment you treat yourself as fragile, your body accepts that role without argument. It adapts downward. It sheds what it believes you no longer need. Look at your daily patterns honestly. You move carefully. You avoid strain. You choose convenience over challenge. You eat smaller portions and call it being healthy. None of that is neutral. Every one of those choices sends a message. And the message is clear. Strength is optional now. Your body believes you. Muscle exists for one reason: to meet demand. When demand disappears, muscle follows. Not out of spite, out of efficiency. The body's ruthless that way. It keeps only what's required to survive the environment you create. If your environment is soft, predictable, and underfueled, your body restructures itself to match. This is where most people misunderstand aging. They think decline is automatic. In reality, it's adaptive. Your body is constantly adjusting to how you live. When effort disappears, muscle becomes expensive to maintain. When protein intake drops, muscle becomes unnecessary to keep. The body trims it without hesitation. Another harsh realization: protecting yourself too much accelerates weakness. Avoiding effort feels safe, but it trains instability. Weak muscles don't protect joints, they expose them. Weak legs don't prevent falls, they invite them. Fragility is not avoided by caution, it's created by it. You may believe you're being smart by taking it easy, but your body hears retreat, and it responds by lowering capacity across the board. Less power, less balance, less resilience. Over time, that becomes your new normal, and you forget what strength even felt like. This isn't about pushing recklessly. It's about refusing to shrink. Demanding strength doesn't require extremes. It requires intention. It requires fuel. It requires showing your body again and again that power is still needed in your life. Here's the part most people don't want to face. Muscles don't disappear first. Belief dissipate. Ours first. The belief that you can stay strong. The belief that effort still matters. The belief that your body is capable of responding. Once that belief dies, behavior follows. And once behavior follows, muscle loss becomes inevitable. The good news is uncomfortable too, because if muscle loss comes from lack of demand, then strength returns when demand comes back, slowly, reluctantly at first. But it returns. The body is not stubborn. It's responsive. You don't need to convince yourself with motivation. You need to act in ways that contradict weakness. Eat like strength is required. Move like your body still has purpose. Stop negotiating with decline as if it's inevitable. Another truth that disrupts comfort is this: 1 or 2 eggs a day are no longer enough. Not now, not at this stage. That strategy belonged to a younger body with faster recovery, stronger digestion, and higher sensitivity to protein. Your body has changed, and pretending it hasn't is how muscle quietly disappears. You may feel loyal to old habits. Breakfast the same way, portions the same size, the same reassurance that this worked for years. But what worked then is failing you now, not because the food is bad, but because the signal is too weak. Your muscles require a louder message to stay alive. Protein after 60 isn't optional, and it isn't flexible. Your muscles have become resistant, meaning they need more consistent intake to respond. Small, scattered amounts don't register. One protein-rich food here and there doesn't protect you. It gives you the illusion of doing enough while your body continues to break itself down. Here's a harsh realization most people avoid. Relying on minimal protein is a form of false discipline. It feels controlled. It feels clean, but it's destructive. Your body interprets it as scarcity. And in scarcity, muscle is the first thing sacrificed. Eggs alone cannot carry that burden anymore. They can be part of the equation, but they can't be the strategy. They don't provide the volume, fiber, or metabolic support your system now needs. Without that support, protein utilization drops, and muscle maintenance becomes an uphill fight. This is why people say they eat protein but still grow weaker. Intake without structure is meaningless. Protein without consistency is noise. Your muscles need repetition. They need daily reinforcement that strength is still demanded. Another uncomfortable truth: under-eating protein feels normal because your body adapts downward. Appetite shrinks, energy drops. You assume that's just life now. It's not. It's adaptation to deficiency. Your system has lowered expectations because you lowered supply. And here's the cost no one mentions. Once muscle loss accelerates, recovery becomes slower and harder. It's easier to maintain than to rebuild. Waiting until weakness becomes obvious is a strategic mistake. This isn't about eating more for pleasure. It's about eating more for function. More protein now means fewer limitations later, fewer aches, fewer losses, fewer moments where your body fails you when you need it most. This was never about chasing an image or proving anything to anyone. It's about something far more basic and far more serious: function. Your ability to live without negotiating with your body every day. Strength after 60 is not vanity, it is access. Access to movement, access to independence, access to a life that doesn't slowly shrink. When muscle fades, life contracts. Simple tasks start asking for permission. Getting up, carrying weight, walking with confidence. These stop being automatic and start feeling conditional. That's not aging. Ender happening in slow motion. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Every accommodation you make for weakness trains more weakness. When you stop asking your body to perform, it stops preparing itself to perform. Muscles don't complain, they comply, they downsize, they disappear. Strength protects more than movement. It protects dignity, it protects confidence, it protects the ability to say yes without calculating the cost to your body first. Losing that doesn't happen overnight. It happens meal by meal, habit by habit. Food plays a bigger role here than most people want to admit. Weak fuel creates weak outcomes. When your meals lack enough protein and support, your body cannot justify maintaining strength. It prioritizes survival over performance. That shift feels subtle at first, but it changes everything. This is why preserving muscle matters even if you never touch a gym. Muscle is not about appearance. It's about control. Control over your posture, your balance, your reaction time, your ability to recover when something goes wrong. Without muscle, every stumble becomes a threat instead of a correction. You don't lose independence all at once. You trade it away in small, reasonable compromises. You choose convenience over nourishment. You choose familiarity over effectiveness. You choose good enough over what your body actually needs. And then one day, you realize how much ground you've lost. The goal isn't to chase youth. The goal is to refuse fragility, to make choices that expand your life instead of shrinking it. Strength is the foundation of that expansion. Here's the shift that changes everything, and it's uncomfortable because it removes comfort from the equation. Food is no longer entertainment. It's no longer nostalgia. It's no longer something you choose based on mood. After 60, food becomes instruction. Every meal tells your body what kind of future you are building. When you eat for comfort, your body prepares for decline. When you eat for function, your body prepares for strength. There is no middle ground anymore. Neutral choices don't exist at this stage. Every decision pushes you in one direction or the other. This is where most people resist. They want strength without changing how they think about food. They want to keep the same habits and expect different results. That's not discipline. That's denial. Your body responds to what you consistently do, not what you occasionally intend. The idea that a little of everything is enough stops working now. Variety without adequacy leads to deficiency. Balanced plates that are light on protein slowly starve muscle while keeping you just comfortable enough not to notice the damage. Here's a harsh realization. Hunger is no longer a reliable guide. Appetite shrinks with age, but nutritional demand doesn't. If you eat only when you feel hungry, you underfeed your muscles by default. Your body won't warn you loudly. It will adapt quietly and take strength with it. Thinking of food as strategy changes behavior immediately. You stop asking what you feel like eating and start asking what your body needs to maintain power. That question alone separates those who age with capability from those who fade into limitation. This doesn't require obsession. It requires clarity. Protein becomes non-negotiable. Consistency becomes more important than variety. Meals stop being random and start being purposeful. That purpose sends a clear signal to your muscles you are still required. Another uncomfortable truth is that skipping protein is easier than dealing with weakness later. It feels harmless now. It's expensive later. Weak legs, poor balance, and fatigue don't appear suddenly. They arrive as invoices for years of underfueling. Once you see food as instruction, excuses collapse. I wasn't hungry stops making sense. I forgot becomes unacceptable. You realize you're not feeding appetite anymore. You're feeding capacity here. Here's a reality most people never confront. Until it's too late, protein deficiency after 60 is the norm, not the exception. It doesn't announce itself with pain or alarms. It hides behind normal blood tests and familiar routines. You feel fine, so you assume you are. Meanwhile, your muscles are being quietly dismantled. This is what makes it dangerous. Protein deficiency doesn't create urgency. It creates gradual loss. Strength fades first. Endurance follows. Balance slips. And by the time the problem becomes obvious, years have passed. Another harsh truth is that most people dramatically overestimate how much protein they eat. A small serving feels sufficient. A protein-rich food once a day feels responsible. It isn't. Not anymore. Your body now needs regular reinforcement, not occasional support. The body prioritizes survival over strength. When protein intake is low, it preserves vital organs and sacrifices muscle without hesitation. It doesn't ask permission. It doesn't negotiate. Muscle is treated as excess in times of shortage. That's how biology works. What makes this worse is that muscle loss doesn't hurt. You don't feel it happening. You notice it only when your body fails you under stress, when you stumble, when fatigue hits faster, when recovery takes longer than it should. Those moments are not random. They are consequences. There's also a dangerous assumption at play that activity alone will protect muscle. It won't. Walking without protein is maintenance at best, erosion at worst. Movement creates demand, but protein supplies the material. Without both, your effort goes unrewarded. Another uncomfortable realization is this. Many people eat enough calories but not enough protein. Full stomach, empty muscles. That combination creates weight gain with weakness, not strength. It feels like a cruel joke, but it's common. Ignoring protein deficiency doesn't freeze things in place. It accelerates decline. Muscle loss speeds up with each passing year, making recovery slower and harder the longer you wait. What could have been preserved easily now requires serious effort. This isn't about fear, it's about awareness. Once you see the pattern, you can't unsee it. Strength doesn't disappear by accident, it disappears by neglect.